Anybody who is complaining about Star Wars Andor being slow these past few weeks, well, I hope you're happy now. Hello interwebs, I'm here to review the latest episode of Star Wars Andor, this time episode 6, The Eye, and this was the episode that all of us have been waiting for, the big heist, and it most certainly did not disappoint. This was the fantastic payoff that I really hoped that this heist storyline that they were building to was going to be. I'll be quite fair with you. I think that this is the best Star Wars action set piece that we've gotten since arguably Rogue One, but even then, I might even say before then, like Duel of Fates maybe. I don't know. I'd have to sit and think about it to be sure. But this was just a really excellent, just constant build throughout the entire episode. This episode was just the plan going off, and everything just kept building. The tension kept building more and more and more. And what made it work more for me was that I cared about every character in this situation, and yet I knew that none of them were going to be held precious. We spent the past 2 episodes getting to know these characters, getting to know who they are, and for the most part, I had a good idea of who each of them were going into this. And so just having the episode just put them through the ringer, I was worried and tense throughout for all of them. And yet I also knew that these are all characters besides Andor himself that, we don't know the fate of. They aren't pertinent to any future Star Wars storyline, which is so rare in Star Wars nowadays and many franchises. And so I was like, many of them could die, and many of them did, though in ways that I didn't expect, even with characters that I thought were going to die. I would have called them dying, even I think I said in my review last episode or so. They died in ways that I think were surprising and tragic in how avoidable they were and how small they were and how silly they were. Silly being more not the right word, but you kind of get what I mean. And how offhanded they were in some cases. It really was just an excellently done episode. And like I said, one of the best Star Wars action sequences that we've gotten in a while. I mean, I'm just so happy that this was an action sequence that it showed us the spectacle. It gave us the over-the-top moments. Yet it wasn't doing what we got in the Rise of Skywalker, episode 9, where it was here's 1 billion ships that we're gonna shove at you, and it's just a escalation of scale, or Star Trek Picard season 1, where it was here's 1 billion Romulan ships that we'll toss at you. It's that just, you numb me to it if you just make it a 9 or 10 all the time. If everything's at the height, the greatest scale all the time. No, this is about a group of small people doing a small heist. Important heist, but one thing. And you just get to see that going and going and going. I'll talk about some specifics in a second, but the last thing that I just want to talk about was just the rising tension. Everything just kept going throughout the entire episode. You just feel the notch being turned up. It didn't start at that height. It just slowly pulled off as you get to see things executed, and you get to see small things going off the rails, and then you see big things going off the rails, and just the tense moments between everyone in that, and how hectic it can really get, and how everyone just sort of oh god, I'm hoping this is going good, we're gonna get this moving. And I loved Nemec at the beginning, starting to get into specifics, being I feel like I should be tired, and Andor's you're not gonna be tired by the end of this, you'll sleep when you're done with this, and certainly he did. And so I liked that moment. And then I also like Nemec kind of trying to connect it to some larger ideology. It's look, you're talking about mercenaries, they're tools to be used, and Andor just saying, yeah, the Empire, you're correct about one thing. The Empire doesn't care. They don't have to learn. They don't have to have this ideology behind them that you do, because, that he just sort of puts it in colloquial terms, but he is right, because fascism is all just about power. It's about aesthetics. It's on the surface. It's nothing. There's no deeper thought to it other than it's all about power for power's sake. There's not what Nemec's doing to try to create an ideology. And so I liked that sort of coming up in sort of Andor's thing here, and Nemec's oh, I should just love like this, and Andor saying no, do I look thankful to you? I thought was all great. And when I saw that scene, I realized immediately, it's yep, Nemec is totally dead. As soon as Andor said you'll sleep when we're done, I'm sad Nemec. He's not making it, and I was correct. Though again, I was surprised by how that happened. We'll get there. I did like meeting this new head of the base that's here. I didn't really catch his name. I was trying to catch it the whole way through. He had his family here. I would have liked to have had him. Maybe he was introduced a little bit earlier. I don't really remember him, but he was an interesting guy in the sense that he had this sort of fascist ideology about how he sort of views the people of this planet as savage, and he comes with all this nonsense bullshit about them that he's going to use to try to manipulate to get them to build this facility. Like, he just has all these plans of dehumanizing and not caring about these people's culture, and just sort of like kind of laughing and sneering down at them. This sort of like viewing them as savages sort of thing. And so I liked seeing all of that. And then I liked seeing just again the plan starting to get executed. There's two ways to do a heist in if you're setting up a heist thing. There's one like the Ocean's 11 where you sort of meticulously show us every single step of the plan, and then you show us things going off the rails. Or you kind of do it what this is, where we have a vague idea what the plan is, but we don't know every single step, and so we get to kind of have excitement getting to see like, ooh, that's the thing. Ooh, that's what they're doing. Oh, I wonder how this is going to connect here, and then kind of like, oh, seeing how things start to go off from there, in just like little tiny moments. And so I like that. I liked getting to see Vel and Sintra sort of sneaking in with scuba diving and getting into the base. I like seeing our other characters sort of pretending to be I guess they're technically stormtroopers or Imperial officers. I don't know what they're called when they're not wearing the stormtrooper helmet sort of thing, but them sort of like doing that and just sort of like them getting prepared, like, okay, this is the moment and we're about to reach the moment of no return. And Vel calls it, and they start going through the motions and getting through it, and you just see it all just sort of the dominoes start falling as they break into the base. And then getting to cutbacks to the eye and the ceremony going on. Thought that was all just great. One thing I did also really like is we got a confirmation that Vel and Sintra are actually gay together. I actually didn't catch that coding in the past few episodes. Some other people were calling like, Jessie, how did you not notice it? I just missed it. One of the few times you have caught me. So I thought that was interesting that we got a confirmation. And as soon as I saw them, like, oh, please don't. I know that some characters are going to die. Please don't let it be the queer ones, because I would hate to like be like, oh, and we have a barrier gays. We're going to confirm they're gay. They're the first, I think, other than like the background kiss and Rise of Skywalker, might be the first officially confirmed like gay romance in Star Wars with named characters, I guess I should say. And I really hope they don't die in the first episode they get introduced, or at least confirmed. And thankfully that did not happen, because I would have been bothered by that. But then again, if they killed so many people, that I would have been slightly less bothered by it in this episode if they killed a gay character, but I'm still glad that they didn't. But anyways, we go through this whole just sequence. I mean, I could just talk about all of it in bit by bit, but all of it's just really effectively done. It's just executed well. I like seeing the moment of like this one Imperial trooper like starting to get hints of something going wrong, and then they start getting the money, and they start trying to shove it onto the ship. And then things go wrong in the last minute, where this guy comes in and is just like, what's going on? I don't think this is correct. And then Lieutenant Gorn trying to order them down and it's like, nope, not going to work. And so Lieutenant Gorn, I believe he was one of the people killed in that sequence. So yeah, just a few people just getting knocked off in these moments. So that was all like just difficult to see and exciting to watch, just seeing that tension getting wrapped up more and more and more, until finally we get on the ship. And guys, this is the one that killed me the most, no pun intended, was they lift off and Nemec gets crushed by, I believe, some of the money that they were stealing. And I figured Nemec was going to be a goner, but I did not expect it in such a kind of offhanded way. It's just in standing in the wrong place at the wrong time when they were lifting off. It's sad in its mundanity, considering everything. And he didn't die immediately. He is able to give sort of instructions to Andor as he takes off and gets off the planet, which is beautiful to see. Like, the visuals in this were gorgeous. Like, I'm so loving the visuals of the show so much. Again, it's not like The Rise of Skywalker where it's like a billion ships or like random CGI everywhere. It's like, it is CGI, but it looks really good. So yeah, just the tragic moment of Nemec's death in all of this chaos, and they sort of like have to make this debate. It's like, he's probably gonna die, but we should at least try to save him. And they go to this cool looking doctor dude with 4 hands. And then we get Arvel sort of saying, like, I don't really have a brother. I'm in it for myself. We could just take this money and run. We could be the real winners here. And Andor shoots him dead, because he's like, it's like Andor, it's not like he's a true believer, but I think he just does not like someone who's just in it for himself after everything they went through. And Andor is starting to become a little bit of a true believer, especially after what's happened to Nemec. And Nemec kind of recognized that to a degree, because he wanted to give his manifesto to Andor. So maybe that might be the seeds of the Rebellion's manifesto, or the New Republic's manifesto, that we will see coming in the next few episodes or season of the show. So that might be intriguing to see how Nemec's death may inspire or cause Andor to react to him. But Andor still just wants out. Like, he does not respect Arvel, and that's hence why he kills him. But he still does not want to get involved. And so that push and pull, he's sort of still in the middle, which I liked this showcasing. And going to Vel's like, I just want my money, and then I'm gone. And he sort of wants, I'm out. Wash my hands of this. I did my part. And then we get the final moments on Coruscant. It took me a second to get the name there, where we see the reactions of the Empire, where we get to see our little Imperial people sort of like, oh, we're having a meeting, something terrible happened going down. We need to like rally the people to try and get these rebels. We also see Mon Mothma in the Senate, and people are sort of leaving because of what happened. And Mon Mothma, I like seeing the Senate now during the High Empire days, and how it stands in sharp contrast to the Empire, or the Senate of the prequels during the Republic era, where we can see that there's so many less senators there. There's clearly just more of a puppet show, because the Emperor is controlling everything now. It's a very authoritarian state. So senators just kind of are not completely irrelevant, but much less relevant than they were during the prequel days. So that was interesting. And then we get to see Luthen's excitement in all of this, and how he gets to be excited about them succeeding, because he's to a degree detached from everyone. He's completely detached from everyone that was working there. Like, he can view this just as a straight victory, versus the people who executed this plan, who were on the ground and got to see their friends die. And I liked seeing the disparate reactions of that. The Empire's reaction, the people like Andor's reaction, which is much more mixed, considering they lost friends, and Luthen, who is sort of running things, gets to be just exuberant, because he doesn't have to feel the weight of those people's deaths directly. I'm sure, like, we'll see how I doubt he's completely a cold and unfeeling man, but it does showcases how, like, these different people react to this, and I thought that was very interesting. So yeah, ultimately, this was a fantastic episode. And to all those people that thought that this series was slow, I hope that this episode helped you. I've been enjoying it every episode so far, and I saw what it was all building towards, and I'm glad that what it was building towards was fantastic. So yeah, Star Wars Andor continues to impress me. I love this show. It is so good. This, we'll see how the rest of the series goes. It could still fall downhill on its face in the next latter half of the season, but this first half of the season, still some of the best Star Wars I've seen in years at this point, possibly decades, if putting aside maybe Star Wars, the Clone Wars, but still fantastic. I love it, and I will see you next week, my friends, for the next episode, and I hope you all live long and prosper.